Hello and welcome to another video on grammar in the English language. This is one of our videos on how to use modifiers, that is, adverbs and adjectives, in sentences. This video focuses specifically on how to avoid illogical and unclear comparisons and how to avoid double negatives. First, instruction is given, and then questions check your comprehension of the material covered. To review the forms of modifiers and degrees of comparison, watch our video on degree of comparison by clicking the card in the top right corner. By the end of this video, you should have a better idea of how to avoid making errors with comparisons and double negatives. First, we will look at illogical and unclear comparisons. We will begin with our first example sentence. Beth bonds with Mr. Scheibel more than anyone in Methuen. This is an example of an illogical comparison because Mr. Scheibel is one member or item within a group. The group is those in Methuen. In other words, Mr. Scheibel is a person in Methuen. Beth cannot bond with Mr. Scheibel more than he bonds with Mr. Scheibel. There are two ways to correct such an error. The first way is to simply add the word else following the pronoun anyone. Now we have Beth bonds with Mr. Scheibel more than anyone else in Methuen. The second way is to use the word other. To do this, we can revise the sentence to Beth bonds with Mr. Scheibel more than any other person in Methuen. These two revised sentences clearly show that Beth's relationship with Mr. Scheibel is being compared to her relationships with all of the other people within Methuen. So we can avoid illogical comparisons by using the words other or else to compare items within a group. Time for a couple of comprehension check questions. Now we can move on to our second example of an illogical comparison. Beth is more interested in chess than Harry. The problem here is with clarity. The sentence is open to two different interpretations. This means that there are two options to correct the sentence to make the intended meaning clear. The first option, Beth is more interested in chess than Harry is. Clearly now we can see that Beth likes chess more than Harry likes chess. The second option, Beth is more interested in chess than she is in Harry. With this correction, we see that Beth likes chess more than she likes Harry. Neither of the revised sentences is open to interpretation. Each successfully conveys its intended message. So, we can avoid unclear comparisons by adding sufficient information to our sentences. It's time for another comprehension check question. Now we will move on to double negatives. In English, only one negative word is needed to express a negative idea. Indeed, two negatives make a positive. Remember that the contraction N''T represents not and counts as a negative word. Our example, I can't get no satisfaction. In this sentence, we have two negative words. N''T negates the verb can, and no negates the noun satisfaction. As there are two negative words, there are two options to correct such an error. We can keep the negation of the verb, but remove the negative modification of the noun. In this example, replace no with any. So we have, I can't get any satisfaction. Or we can remove the negation of the verb and keep the negative modification of the noun. So we have, I can get no satisfaction. These two corrections share the same meaning, but differ in terms of style and tone. As a writer, choose the option that best suits the style and tone of your writing. A second example of double negatives. I ain't got nothing. Again, we have the negation of the verb, but this time the second negative is the negative pronoun nothing. A further point is the use of ain't, which is a colloquial contraction for any of am not, is not, are not, has not, and have not. Ain't is regarded as inappropriate and should be avoided in writing. There are two options to correct the error. We can keep the negation of the verb while changing it to more formal language. The auxiliary do is negated and the main verb have is used. Then we must replace the negative pronoun. In this example, we replace nothing with anything. So we have, I don't have anything. Or we can remove the negation of the verb, using the more formal have, and keep the negative pronoun. We could say, I have got nothing, or I have nothing, the second of which is more formal. Notice the word changes we have made. Here, nothing to anything, and with the last example, no to any. To avoid double negatives, the same kinds of changes can be made from anyone to no one, anybody to nobody, none to any, and never to ever. So, we should avoid double negatives and the informal ain't by removing the negation of the verb or the negative modification of nouns or pronouns. you should choose the correction that best fits with your style and tone. With that, it is time for the final 2 comprehension questions. So, to recap the points discussed in this video, we should avoid illogical comparisons by using other or else to compare items within a group. Avoid unclear comparisons by providing enough information to prevent misinterpretation. And avoid using double negatives and ain't by removing the negative modification of the verb or the noun or pronoun. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.